Hello and welcome to my first ever official YouTube video. I'm starting a new channel called Meg Reads Books. My name is Meg. Here are some books. Let's talk about it. Okay, so that was my short little intro. So for my first video, I'm gonna be talking about a book that I came upon by accident. I found it randomly on Amazon. I saw that it had some pretty good reviews, and so I decided to read it, but I haven't seen anyone talk about it on YouTube. I haven't seen anybody talk about it on TikTok, but I think it's a really great book, and I wanna recommend it to you guys and talk about it today. So the book is called Fate of Wrath and Flame. It's by K.A. Tucker. And I've never heard of K.A. Tucker before, and I was a little unsure about it when I first read the title because of Fate of Wrath and Flame. Like the cadence of that, the rhythm of that reminds me a little bit of a different book. A little worried that there's too many books that are gonna just kind of be rip-offs of that book. Anyway, so when I first read the title of this book, that was my thought, but it's nothing like that. It's really good. I just think there's a lot of books who really like that pattern for the name, something of something and something, you know? It's getting overdone. Anyway, so I picked up the book and I really loved it and I want to recommend it to other people. Basically, if you like Avatar: The Last Airbender, if you like romance, like good romance, and if you like, this last one's a little specific, Isekai, reincarnation, transmigration, webtoons, or manhwa, this book is perfect for you. If you like all three of those things like I do, then this book just like scratches an itch that you didn't even know you needed. Like it has all of those things. Oh, also, this one's a little random too, but if you like Prince Charming from Shrek.
Cherry flavored. Want a taste?
This book's probably good for you too, because the male lead looks like Prince Charming. So anyway, I'm gonna give you guys a quick spoiler-free review, recommend it, tell you what I liked about the book without any spoilers, and then from there, I'm gonna change into spoiler mode. I'll let you know when that happens. And if you want to read the book without having any spoilers, you can turn off the video there and come back to it after you finish the books, because I'm gonna talk about all the things I liked and the things I didn't like about the book. All right, so the synopsis, here we go. The story starts with a girl named Romeria. Her nickname is Romy, I think. I keep calling her Rami though. I'm probably gonna keep doing that. She is a thief who lives in New York City, but she's not just like any thief. She's like a high-end thief. She steals like expensive jewelry off of people and stuff like that. And when I read that this was our character's background, I was a little concerned because I feel like it's a trope right now in young adult novels when the main female character has kind of a badass profession like thief or assassin or whatever, something like that. Usually her personality is so badass that she's like completely unrelatable, and like her main personality trait is that she likes knives or something. Oh, I hate characters like that. So the main character, Romeria, she lives in New York City and she gets approached by this mysterious lady who you get a little bit of background for in the book, but for the most part, she stays pretty mysterious throughout the whole book. And that lady takes Romeria and basically isekais her into another world. And what I mean by that is basically kills Romeria in this world, and then Romeria reincarnates or is like wakes up in the body of a different person in a different world, in a world that's like far more fantastical than ours, and there's a lot of magic and everything else. And so that's where Romeria wakes up. And then she's in this body of a girl who lived there. And the story basically follows how Romeria is dealing with, first off, being thrown into this new world where she doesn't even know like any of her backstory. And second, dealing with all the repercussions of all the havoc that was wreaked by the person who was in this body before Romeria was. And that person was a buttload of trouble and left a buttload of trouble for Romeria to have to clean up once she woke up in this body. I feel like the book is really funny and there's lots of cute moments in it. I think the tension between the love interests is really nice. At the beginning of the book, the writer says that she didn't make anything too spicy. I don't know if she uses the word spicy, but basically like there's not really intense sexy scenes. And I was like, okay, I can deal with that just as long as the main characters kiss, that's all that matters. But I honestly felt like there was still a healthy amount of spice in the book, so that was nice. Oh, and then I'm gonna come back full circle here to explain the Prince Charming thing. So I even pulled up the part where it describes what the male lead Xander looks like. When I'm reading a book and there's like a quick description of a character, my brain will immediately create what this person looks like in my brain. And then even if later the character is described further and I realize that that's not what they look like, it's kind of too late. My brain has already said that this character looks this way. And so when I read this description, I immediately thought Prince Charming. And so for the rest of the book, Xander just looked like Prince Charming to me. I'm gonna read it to you guys so you can have the same problem while you're reading the book. She says, I see that he's young, older than me, but younger than I'd picture a king to be, because he's a king. Hope that's not a spoiler. Not that I've ever given the age of a king much thought. The rest of his olive-skinned features are as hard and angular as his jaw, framed by a mane of golden brown hair that sweeps backwards off his face in waves and reaches his nape.
What is with you?
But muffin cake.
You can't tell me that's the exact same description as Prince Charming. Anyway, so that's the male lead. I really like the love story between them, and then the magic system is very remnant of Avatar: The Last Airbender, and like I'm not gonna go too far into that because I mean it's really deep and really interesting. Yeah, I give this book a 4.5 out of 5 rating. When I was reading it, I was so invested in it that I thought that this was gonna be my favorite book of 2021. Like, I really, really enjoyed reading it. And then after I finished it and looked at it in retrospect, I was like, okay, there's some things I didn't like about it. This I didn't like about it, this I didn't like about it. But overall, like, it's a really well-written, easy to read, fun book. It keeps your attention the whole time you're reading it, and I'm definitely gonna be reading the next book whenever it comes out. So that is my spoiler-free review. If you wanna go read the book without spoilers, now's the time to pause the video and go read it. And if you just wanna be spoiled, you like to read books that are spoiled, or you already read the book and like me, you want to watch a video to see if other people disliked the things you disliked or if other people liked the things you liked. Now is time for that. So now is time for the spoiler full review. I'm going to start by talking about the things I liked, and then I'm going to move into the things I don't like. The first thing I liked was Romeria. I talked a little bit already about how she wasn't that annoying badass character that I feel like is in a lot of young adult novels. When I was a kid, young adult novels had a lot of characters like, all I can think of right now is Bella Swan, who has like no personality. She doesn't really make any of her own decisions. All the decisions are made for her by outside characters, and she's just kind of this little thing that's being pushed around. And she has no personality. There's nothing to her. And then I feel like nowadays, writers really want to get away from the Bella Swan type character that has no personality. They've tried really hard to make these characters that are like a little too badass. Like they were trying to make a Katniss Everdeen, but they just took it too far. I think Jude from The Cruel Prince is a really good example of a character who her only personality trait is she likes knives and she likes to punch things and she's always angry and angsty, and it's just so annoying. Like there's nothing relatable about it. Anyway, Romeria I thought was very relatable. I liked that she was able to make jokes despite her circumstances. I thought that she was funny and relatable, but also like the right amount of badass. Like her thieving skills came in clutch here and there, but she wasn't always like, I'm a thief, I'm badass. You know, she was a normal human and she had different layers like Shrek. We're going back to Shrek. Anyway, so I liked Romeria. I really liked the world building. Now that I look back at the book, that this entire first book was just really, really drawn out world building. I finished the book and all I really figured out was this is the world. Because it is extremely intricate. I love the playing in of the gods. What are they called? The fates. Yeah, there's basically 4 fates. I liked how that was kind of tied in with the different 4 elements. I thought that was really cool. And that's definitely not something that's in the Avatar: The Last Airbender world, that the elements are tied to like these gods. And I liked that there like was a recognition of the different realms between like Earth and this place, what is it called? Cerelia, I think. And like even how the priestess, that one priestess lady, like recognized that like, oh yeah, I've heard of places like Earth where there's people that have magic powers too, but they are forced to live like secretly because they'll be punished, like the witch trials and stuff that happen on Earth. I thought that was really cool how that played in and like throughout Earth's history as well. So I thought that that was all really well done, and I thought that Romeria did a good job of freaking out, like not believing, you know, she didn't believe that she'd been reincarnated right away. I thought the writing and the prose were wonderful. They kept my interest easily, and I often found myself like jotting down little metaphors and things that the author had said because I thought that they were just really well written. And I looked at K.A. Tucker's website, and the majority of the other books it looks like she's written just didn't look like books I would ever pick up. They were the kind of books that had like pictures of real people on the front of them, you know, and I'm not drawn to those books because they just look cheesy. But I mean, her writing style is really good, so those books may be really good too, even though the titles are a little off-putting. I really liked the tension between the characters. I love a forbidden love story, and it was definitely forbidden because Xander is like, I don't want to like the chick who killed my parents. And that's fair. But then he does anyway, which I still feel like is a little messed up. But you know what? I liked the forbidden love story anyway. I liked that they both were kind of, well, Romeria not so much, but Xander especially was like, no, I can't like you, I can't like you, I can't like you. I love forbidden love stories. And then, of course, he's a vampire. I gotta admit, I didn't see the vampire thing coming. When I started learning about the world, I was like, oh, cool, all the magic system, cool. And like, but the vampire thing surprised me the most. And I kind of threw the book on the ground and I was like, oh, of course he's a vampire. We can't get through a young adult novel nowadays without the male being either a vampire or a fairy, you know? It's gotta be one or the other. And of course it's not called a vampire. I don't even remember what it's called anymore. Like I said, I read this book 2 weeks ago, already started reading other books, and so things have started being replaced in my mind already. But of course, he's a vampire. I was like, is it cliche? Maybe. Do I love it? Absolutely. And the only thing I didn't like about the fact that he was a vampire was that she had like that molten blood that would freaking kill him. And so that made me frustrated. I was like, come on, I want a sexy vampire bite scene, but I'm not gonna get one because her blood will literally kill him. Anyway, so now we're gonna move on to the things I don't like about it. And I think overall, the thing I don't like about it is it didn't move too fast. Like, it's a long book. It's a pretty dense book, but I still felt like things were moving too quickly, particularly with the love story and with the relationships. And this all kind of goes in one with Annika, I think is Xander's sister's name, and Xander, and how quickly they forgive Romeria for murdering their parents. Like, I get that she was supposed to be unconscious for 2 weeks, so there's supposed to be like a kind of a time frame for them to cool off from their parents' death. And there was also like, I guess just weeks and weeks that she was just trapped in that room where they were still bitter at her. But I guess from the reader's perspective, it still felt like it was moving fast. And I really don't know what the writer could have done differently to change that. But it did, to me, like, And I don't know, maybe it wasn't talked much about it, but Xander and Annika, maybe they had a terrible relationship with their parents, you know? But if I knew somebody had like straight up murdered my parents, even if all of a sudden they're like, I'm a different person, I don't remember anything, I would still be extremely bitter to them, and I definitely would not make out with them or do anything else, you know? I don't know, that was really rough for me, and I don't know if that's gonna come full circle in the next book and they're gonna like talk about that more and there's gonna be this kind of weird bitterness, or if it's just gonna be completely forgiven because they know now that she's a different person. Anyway, I didn't like that. I feel like she could have done something different, because I just feel like you can't forgive your parents' murderer to that degree. Like even Annika would go out and walk around with her and talk with her, you know? Like I think there was supposed to be some redeeming in the fact that she saved Annika's life more than once, but I don't know. I just felt like that was too fast and like it didn't make sense. Maybe I just love my parents too much, so I wouldn't forgive somebody for that. But yeah, I definitely felt like that was. The other thing was the magic system. I loved, you know, the connection to Avatar: The Last Airbender kind of magic system. I love those, but I really wanted something a little more with the magic system that like kept my interest. And I think that that's gonna be what happens in the next book, because Romeria has not figured out how to control her powers barely to any extent. The only time that she used them was when that giant creature like came into the camp to destroy things and get her. And so her response was to make a replica of that monster out of water to fight the first monster. But then the water monster beat the like non-water monster. Anyway, that didn't make sense to me. I was like, come on, you're gonna do like the two Spider-Mans thing? That's what you're gonna go to do? Like just bring in a tsunami or something if you're gonna do. Also, I didn't like that it was something so intricate as like creating a second water monster when like she's never used her water power before. And like she was apparently doing that all on adrenaline. That didn't make sense to me. But anyway, I know that the magic system, especially from Romeria's point of view, was barely touched in this first book, and I know that the second book is going to probably be all about that, because at the end of the first book, she disappeared to learn about her magic system. And so I didn't really care for that, but I have hope that that can be redeemed in the second book. And then the last part that I didn't like about the book, and this is when I talk about how I looked at it in retrospect and it changed my mind a little bit about it being like a 5 out of 5 star book. It was really interesting because I was reading the book and my attention was held the whole time. I was like so intrigued by all this information, by all this world building I was given. But now that I'm done with the book, I'm looking back at it and I'm like, what happened in the book? Like there was that scene where she fought the guy, there was the betrayal at the end, and there was the sexy scenes. But the book was so long, what happened all in that other time? And I realized that that is all kind of a very elongated info dump in a way. But it wasn't an info dump. Because you know when you read an info dump in a book and you're like, this is exhausting, I'm so tired, I'm just getting thrown all this information at me and it's destroying me. I feel like the whole book was a very well-regulated info dump. Like she gave it to us in the right amount of spurts so that we were getting the information, but it wasn't overpowering us. Like we were able to then connect dots and like put together pieces of the puzzle so that all of the information we were giving made sense, and that was really fun. But at the end of the day, when I look back on the book, I feel like the only thing I got from it was the world building. Like I was just given a giant, very well-organized info dump with some sexy scenes. Oh, also, I guess I skipped over this because I wanted to talk about how the love story happened a little too fast. Yes, it happened so fast. When they finally broke down and they did it, I was like, oh, this is the forbidden do it. But after they're done, there's gonna be tension between them again because he's gonna regret having done it because he shouldn't have done that because she's the lady who killed his parents, whether she remembers or not. That's what I was expecting. But then that didn't happen. After the tension broke and they did it, they were just kind of like, oh, we like each other now. And I was like, no, come on, keep the forbidden romance going, keep the forbidden tension going. Like I said, I'm a sucker for forbidden romance, and I really enjoyed the tension, and I feel like the author could have played that out longer instead of just like giving in because they both were really having the hots for each other, you know, and now they both have the hots for each other and problem solved. Yeah, that could have been done a little better, but overall, like I said, I super loved this book, and talking about it today makes me like almost want to go reread it. Like, I enjoyed it so much. I'm definitely gonna go look and see when the sequel comes out. I don't know how many books are gonna be in this group of books, but I guess we'll find out. Thank you for watching if you stayed all the way through, and I hope you guys enjoyed my first video. Once again, this is Meg Reads Books, and I read books.